From AccuWeather.com, this is AccuWeather Daily, a brief host-read article. It's weather news in a nutshell. If you're dreaming of a white Christmas, it's likely because most Christmas lore was invented in the Little Ice Age and passed down as memories through generations. Outside of oddball Christmas storms, however, chances of a white Christmas in the U.S. are becoming less and less likely. AccuWeather will issue its White Christmas forecast in the middle of this month. However, this sleigh ride through past weather data could sprinkle some insight on the chances of a white Christmas in your neck of the woods. Now, you can define a white Christmas however you like, but the folks at NOAA say that there needs to be at least an inch of snow on the ground to qualify officially as a white Christmas. So using that as the metric, if you're a snow dreamer, the lump of coal news is that none of the 25 most populated U.S. cities have much more than a 1 in 3 chance of seeing snow on Christmas morning. But here are the best bets. The number one spot to see snow on Christmas morning in a major U.S. city, that is Denver at a 34% historical chance, specifically the Stapleton Airport. White Christmases seem to come in groups in Denver. Only one year had bare ground on Christmas morning between 2006 and 2012, but between 2013 and 2021, there were only two. Christmas morning 2022 had 2 inches of snow on the ground. The last 2 years have been duds. Chicago comes in at a close second with a 33% chance of seeing a white Christmas at O'Hare International Airport. In 2000, those dreaming of the white stuff awoke on Christmas morning in Chicago to a foot of snow on the ground after an extremely cold and snowy December that featured 23 days with snow. Since then, 8 years have featured a white Christmas in the Windy City, most recently in 2022, with 1 inch on the ground, and in 2017 with 2 inches. The most snow that ever fell on Christmas Day in Chicago was a little over 5 inches back in 1950. Now, in Indianapolis, the historical average chance of an inch of snow is around 26% on the 25th of December, so about once every 4 years. Indianapolis had an official white Christmas with at least 1 inch of snow on the ground in 2022, 2017, and 2010, when 5 inches of snow remained from an unusually cold December with 18 days measuring snow. The city has not had more than an inch of snow fall on Christmas Day since 2005. Now, you might expect Boston to be higher on the list, especially since Massachusetts is the birthplace of Over the River and Through the Woods, a song about heavy snow in Boston on Thanksgiving during the Little Ice Age. However, the coastal influence of the warmer Atlantic Ocean knocks a few points off for this city, and it ends up with 1/4 of years seeing a white Christmas. The record holder for snow on the ground in Boston is 11 inches back in 1995. The most recent white Christmas was in 2009 when 4 inches remained from a snowstorm back on the 20th. The chance of a white Christmas in Columbus, Ohio is only 23%, but it's gotten lucky in recent years. Columbus had a white Christmas in 2017, 2020, and 2022, but heavier snows have become less common. The city has not had more than an inch of snow fall on Christmas Day since 1989. New York's Central Park has only a 13% chance of getting a white Christmas, the least of the big cities that we've listed. Because of the warm Atlantic Ocean and the lower latitude than Boston, it's harder to get snow on Christmas in New York City. The heaviest snow observed on Christmas Day in the city was 7 inches in 1909. But don't get too excited. The last time New York City had an inch or more of snow on the ground on Christmas Day was more than 15 years ago, back in 2009, when residents of New York City woke up to 2 inches of snow left over from the 11 inches that fell a few days earlier. In 2020, 10.5 inches of snow fell a week before Christmas, providing some wintry scenes for Christmas shoppers in New York City. But warmer weather melted it, and by Christmas afternoon, the snow was mostly gone. Beyond those locations, only a handful of the top 25 cities have more than a 1% likelihood of a white Christmas. Philadelphia has a 9% chance, D.C. with a 7% chance, Oklahoma City stands about 5%, and Seattle comes in at 4%. Now, beyond the biggest cities in the U.S., there is the potential for a white Christmas in smaller locations. Like many snowstorms, the probability of a white Christmas is elevation dependent. If you happen to live in the mountains of the West, the Rockies, or New England, you have much better odds that you'll wake up to a snow covered ground on December 25th. Add points if you have a ski slope named after your town. For example, Tahoe City, California has an 83.4% chance of a white Christmas, while Winter Park, Aspen, Steamboat Springs, Breckenridge, and Telluride, Colorado range from about 94 to 99%. Most main locations and almost every station in Minnesota have more than a 50% chance of snow on the ground on the 25th. Marquette, Michigan is at 96%, and Duluth, Minnesota is at a 92% chance of snow on the ground on the 25th. Mental Floss recently published their list of the best white Christmas cities, including a ranking for the number of Christmas-themed activities. Aspen was at the top of the list with a near 100% chance of a white Christmas and 14 local Christmas activities. Their list included Syracuse, Rochester, and Ithaca, New York, which range between 51 and 56% chance of a white Christmas. Other towns that made the list were Green Bay, Wisconsin, Burlington, Vermont, Mason City, Iowa, and Concord, New Hampshire. The most widespread U.S. white Christmas for the U.S. was back in 2022, when 53% of the country was covered by snow, while the least snowy 25th by far was 1 year later, when only 17% of the nation was covered by snow in 2023. Unfortunately, climate change is making this serene scene less likely. Climate Central warns that the 12 days of Christmas are warming for 97% of U.S. weather stations since 1970, with an average increase of nearly 5 degrees, and that North American snow cover has decreased by 17% between 1973 and 2016. That's all for now. You can find regional forecasts and more science-based articles at AccuWeather.com. And for your local forecast at your fingertips, download the AccuWeather app. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe. I'll be back on Monday with more from AccuWeather.